Hello, YouTube. I wanted to post a quick review because I went to the comic shop the other day, leading me to buying Godzilla and Hell and Batman Hush. Now, this is going to be about Godzilla and Hell, the trade paperback. So it in its entirety, which I guess I should probably tell people I guess I just found this out the other day that I am in fact, I guess what they call a trade waiter. I don't really like buying individual comics, not because I don't want the comic right then and there, I really want to read it, but I guess I'm that type of person. I like having the whole thing at once. I mean, hence why I'm a big fan of Netflix. I mean, the ability to sit there and watch the entire show in one night if you want to, and if you have a stomach for it, is pretty darn awesome. And it's definitely a new way of doing things as opposed to sitting there every single week waiting for a new episode, which can be nerve wracking. And sometimes things come up and you have to re-record it. I like the convenience of having the whole story there when you want to read it whenever you want. Not to mention, I just like the feeling of trade paperback books. I don't like, which is ironic. Someone who likes comics a lot, I don't like the feeling of an individual comic in your hand. It feels skimpy and very small, and basically it's just one small chapter of a story. That being said, with it took me forever to finally get around to reading Godzilla and Hell. I really wanted to because the idea of it was something very different. I mean, that's why there are a lot of Godzilla comics out there, both new and old, and some of them, from what I've seen, just kind of traditional monsters running amok type thing going on, which I wasn't very interested in. I like to read when they have interesting stories, and there have definitely been a few out there who are really good. One of the ones I just read recently that was really good was, well, way back actually, but one of my favorite ones was Godzilla Half Century War. That was a fantastic book, fantastic story, fantastic art, and just really good at some of the themes of Godzilla, presenting some new things in there too that even the movies haven't really touched on. So, looking forward to Godzilla in Hell, and it's different from Half Century War, most definitely, but it's a fantastic read. I definitely would recommend it to Godzilla fans. And to put it out there, give a basic premise of what it is. It's not like Godzilla Half Century War, where the art style is going to be consistent and it tells one story even over time. No, Godzilla in Hell is more of your typical anthology type piece where basically each story, I think there's a total of, I just read it recently, but I think there's a total of four or maybe even five different stories. And each one of them, the artwork and writers are different, and they each focus on, there's no actual thing that's linking all these things together other than the idea that Godzilla is in some version of hell or purgatory. And then they all have their own little themes to them. So it would be great for me to do a full-on dissection. That'd be great. But this is just I want to do a quick review to get away with because I do have a midterm next week. But yeah, only the first story itself is from the writers and artists of Godzilla and Hell, and that was really good. I mean, Godzilla Half Century War, and the rest of them all do different styles and themes, and the themes are very interesting. They go from Godzilla being, my favorite ones are, Godzilla going beyond the idea of God and Satan. There are many times in the story where Godzilla was forced to choose between damnation and being basically a part of hell, or joining, as they say, one of God's soldiers and being a part of that justice. And Godzilla refuses them both and just does his own thing, you know. And then there are other ones where Godzilla is just in this permanent. I mean, and there are other versions of it where he really is in his own hell, where he's just stuck fighting for eternity, even if he doesn't want to. And there's some other interesting ones in there. Some of them are really. One of them was really meta. I was like, to me, a second read just didn't figure out what the hell happened. I'm like, oh wait, that was, well, that was interesting. Godzilla really, literally broke the fourth wall. That was insane. But yeah, but they're really, really, really good stories. Uh, my only complaints about it is that one or two shots in there. I mean, I like all the artwork, but there's one or two shots in there. I was like, well, panels. I guess you'd say, not a movie. One or two panels in there. I was like, they could have done just a little bit better with drawing there. But however, overall, it holds together very well to me. It's very nice. And the thing is, they're, how can I put this? They're not, like I said, they're not a straightforward story, but it does have an ending, so to speak. So I mean, they're more, something like, if you've ever seen Batman Gotham Knight, it's kind of like that. Four individual stories that are linked together with similar themes, but they're very different in tone. And that's the thing to me. I was kind of expecting it to be less of that. I was kind of expecting it to be one thing where a very straightforward story. Godzilla finally is killed, and that's another thing I wanted them to focus on, just who did it. One story does touch on who possibly killed Godzilla, but the other ones don't really touch on that. Some of them, Godzilla just wakes up there, and we assume we don't know if they're actually connected per se to say if the same death that he had in that one is actually how he got there in this one. And some, he's in straight up hell, and others imply he's in purgatory, which, as some people should know, it's the land between heaven and hell where they decide where you're going to go. So, I mean, if I would have loved a beefed up version. It's not as long as Half Century War, not as long as Rulers of Earth by any means. It's a mini series, but I would have loved a really long version of this where Godzilla's just wandering through hell for a long time. We see maybe later on down the line who killed him, why is he in hell, which is interesting about it too. Some books leave it vague as to why he's in hell, and other ones kind of hint at it. I would have loved a long, gritty take on it where we see why Godzilla's in hell, maybe because of all the people he's killed. But at the same time, though, and that's why it'd be so interesting because you think about it, does Godzilla really deserve to be in hell? He is kind of an animal. Although he's intelligent, he's still to some extent an animal. So it'd be an interesting debate to see if he actually deserves to be in hell. So what I'm trying to get down to is I would have loved to see a full-on take on this and a long, 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 long tail. However, what we got is still very entertaining. It's still very thought-provoking too, which is interesting about it. And that's the thing. I was reading a review about it posted by another person, and he had a very interesting take on it, which I don't want to get on into in this video because then I'd be going about it forever. In fact, if I want to do a dissection of this, which I really want to actually, I will do it as a full-on dissection type of thing, or go on for maybe 10, 15 minutes as I try, but I usually am going over. But yeah, guys, definitely I give four to 4.5 stars out of 5 for Godzilla in Hell. Really good read. Check it out. Like I said, only I'm not giving it the full 5 on 5 because I would have really loved for them to really just go balls out with this topic and make it into a humongous thing. But what we get is still very good, very entertaining read, thought provoking, and some great artwork and some great scenes that just make you smile. Like there goes Godzilla being Godzilla. It's fantastic. Definitely give it a shot.